It was just another Friday night. One of those nights that started like a dozen others before it. Noah and I had this routine. We'd pick up cheap beer, throw on a movie we wouldn't really pay attention to, and just let the week melt away on our tiny, sagging couch. We were two broke college guys sharing a one-bedroom apartment off campus, and for the most part, we made it work. I took the bedroom because I had early classes and needed sleep. He took the pull-out couch because he could sleep through anything, including, apparently, the world ending. Noah was the golden boy. Tall, tan, ex-football player with a lazy smile and an accidental charm that worked without him trying. He was the kind of guy who always looked a little rumpled in a hot way, and everyone liked him, especially girls. There were always girls. So yeah, straight, very straight. And I kept to myself, quiet, organized, and maybe a little awkward. I'd gotten pretty good at managing the quiet ache I carried around, that annoying, persistent thing that buzzed to life whenever he walked out of the bathroom shirtless or flopped next to me on the couch, smelling like sweat and body wash. I never acted on it. Would never act on it. That was the rule I made with myself the second we signed the lease. Until last Friday night. Noah came home already a few drinks deep, dropped his keys on the floor instead of the counter, and gave me a lazy, uneven smile. "Yo," he said, slurring just slightly. I looked up from my laptop. "You pre-gamed without me?" He grinned and stumbled toward the fridge. "Had a few with the guys after class. Wanted to keep the vibe going." He grabbed a beer and tossed me one. We didn't talk much after that. Just cracked open drinks, half-watched some dumb action movie, and gradually I could see his posture start to change. He leaned in closer when he laughed, legs brushing mine. Rested his arm behind me on the back of the couch like he was trying to get comfortable, even though the couch was plenty big enough. At some point I felt his fingers lightly graze my shoulder. Casual. Maybe too casual. I didn't say anything, but I noticed. Halfway through the movie, I turned to find him already watching me. "What?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. He hesitated, his brow furrowed like he was thinking hard about something. "You ever wonder what it's like?" he asked. I blinked. What's like?" He didn't break eye contact. "You know, doing stuff with a guy." There was a pause, a weird, stretchy silence that filled the room like fog. My heart thudded in my chest. I laughed, trying to brush it off. "You're drunk." "Maybe," he said, setting his beer down. "But I'm serious." He leaned in a little closer, like he was waiting for me to say something, waiting for permission, or maybe for me to call him out so he could pretend it was a joke. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I said, "And what if I've wondered?" His lips parted, like he wasn't expecting that answer. Then he said it. "Want to try something?" I froze. He wasn't smiling. Not playfully, not teasing, just serious. And scared, maybe. And drunk. But not drunk enough to not know what he was saying. "Try what?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He swallowed hard. "Just one time, just to see." I stared at him, at his lips, at the way his hands slowly moved to rest on my knee, and in that moment, everything changed. I should have said no. I know that now. Not because I regret it, not exactly, but because things don't go back to normal after something like that. There's no Control plus Z for crossing a line like we did that night. Noah's hand was still on my knee, warm, heavy, hesitant. He didn't move when I looked down at it. He didn't smile or laugh or pull away like it was some joke that went too far. His eyes stayed on mine, almost searching for something. Permission, maybe. Confirmation that he wasn't the only one feeling this weird, humming energy between us. I could feel my pulse in my throat. "You sure?" I asked. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Noah let out a soft breath and nodded once, like any more than that might break whatever spell we were under. I shifted slightly on the couch, just enough to turn and face him. He was closer than I realized. I could smell the beer on his breath, the faint scent of his cologne, something woodsy and clean. His knee brushed mine again, but this time he didn't pull back. Then he said it. "Just one kiss." My heart jumped. It wasn't what I expected. I thought he'd grope me or joke or do something physical and messy and undefined. But instead, he just looked at me, lips slightly parted, waiting. He wanted a kiss, and I gave it to him. It wasn't long or deep or even particularly graceful, just a few seconds of hesitant, closed-mouth pressure. But it was enough to make the air around us feel completely different. When we pulled back, neither of us said anything right away. Noah blinked a few times, then touched his lips like he wasn't sure it had really happened. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay?" I asked. He nodded again, slower this time. That wasn't what I expected. I didn't know what to say to that. I didn't want to ask what he expected, and I sure as hell didn't want to be a science experiment. But then he looked up at me again, more sober now, more careful. "Can I do it again?" he asked. And that's when I realized this wasn't just curiosity. This wasn't just a drunken dare or some bro-level, haha, wouldn't it be funny if moment. This was Noah reaching out for something he didn't understand yet. So I kissed him back. This time slower, this time with intention. His hand came up to my shoulder, then slid to my neck. It was awkward at first. He kissed like someone who hadn't done it much, but he leaned into it like he wanted to learn, like he wanted to know what this could be if he let himself stop pretending. We didn't do anything more that night. No clothes came off, no lines were crossed that couldn't be uncrossed, just kissing, slow, careful, like we both knew we were on the edge of something big. Eventually he pulled back, resting his forehead against mine. "This is crazy," he whispered. I nodded. "Yeah, it kind of is." We sat like that for a while, silent, close, pretending we didn't hear the quiet storm of questions building in the distance. He fell asleep on the couch that night, not on the pullout, not on the other side, right next to me, and in the quiet, with his head against my shoulder, and my heart doing somersaults. I knew the hard part hadn't even started yet. I didn't sleep much, not because I was uncomfortable. Noah was curled against me, one arm loosely draped over my stomach, his breathing deep and even, but because my brain wouldn't shut up. Every few minutes, it would replay that kiss, that question, his voice saying just one kiss like it meant nothing and everything at the same time. By morning, I had convinced myself that it would be a one-time thing, a fluke, something he'd laugh off or chalk up to being drunk. But when he stirred beside me, groggy, hair a mess, eyes still puffy from sleep, he didn't pull away. He just blinked at me like he was trying to remember where he was, then gave me a sleepy, lopsided smile. "Morning," he mumbled. "Hey." He looked down, seemed to realize his hand was still on me, and hesitated. I waited for him to move, for the regret, for the "what the hell happened?" panic, but it didn't come. Instead, he said, "I didn't dream that, did I?" I shook my head. "No, you didn't." He nodded slowly, processing. Then, to my complete surprise, he stayed right where he was. "I thought I'd wake up freaking out," he said quietly. "But I don't. I feel calm." I didn't know what to say. I'd spent so long hiding how I felt, keeping my distance, making sure I didn't cross lines. Now here we were, tangled up in each other, and he was the one bringing it up like it was no big deal. "What does this mean?" I finally asked. He looked at me again, serious now. "I don't know. I wanted to try. And now I kind of want to try again. Sober." My heart kicked. "You sure?" "No," he admitted. "But I'm not sure. That makes sense?" We both laughed, and the tension in the room cracked just a little. He finally sat up, running a hand through his hair. The sheet fell from his shoulders, and I tried not to stare, tried to keep my eyes on his face, but it was hard. He was always easy to look at. Now it felt different, less like a secret, more like permission. He looked around, then grabbed his phone off the floor. "We have class in like an hour. We should probably not show up looking like we had a sleepover." "Technically," I said, "we did." "Yeah," he smirked. "Best sleep I've had in weeks." He stood and stretched, then gave me a long look before heading into the bathroom. And just like that, we were back to normal. Almost. Except it wasn't normal anymore. Not after the next night. Because the next night, he didn't drink. And he kissed me anyway. The second kiss was different. There was no alcohol, no joking, no late night haze to blame. It was a Tuesday, completely ordinary. I had just finished cleaning up dinner, pasta and garlic bread, our default broke student meal, and Noah was sitting on the counter watching me with this unreadable expression. He'd been quiet all night, not distant, just thoughtful. "You good?" I asked, drying my hands on a dish towel. He nodded slowly, then looked down at his hands like they were suddenly the most interesting thing in the room. "Yeah, I just been thinking." "About?" He didn't answer right away, hopped off the counter instead and walked over, close enough that I could smell the soap from his post-gym shower. "You remember what I said the other night?" he asked. I blinked. "Which part?" He smiled. Small, nervous. "The part about trying something." I nodded. "Well," he said, scratching the back of his neck, "I don't want that to be a drunk thing." I swallowed. "So what do you want it to be?" He stepped even closer. Our chests were inches apart. I could feel the heat coming off him. "I don't know," he said softly. "But I want to know what it feels like when I'm not wasted." My mouth went dry. "Noah, I'm not a test run." His eyes flicked up to mine, wide and serious. "I know. That's not what I'm doing. Can I kiss you again? Like, really kiss you?" My breath hitched. And then I nodded. This kiss wasn't hesitant. It wasn't cautious or experimental. It was warm and slow and real. His hand found the side of my neck, thumb grazing my jaw. My hands went to his hips instinctively. We stood there in the dim kitchen light, his lips moving against mine like he was learning the rhythm of a language he didn't know he could speak. When we finally pulled apart, he didn't back away. He rested his forehead against mine, breathing hard. "Damn," he whispered. "That's not what I expected." "Bad?" "No. Kind of the opposite." A beat passed. Then he said, "Now what?" That was the question, wasn't it? What do you do when your straight roommate kisses you twice? Once drunk, once sober, and doesn't run from it? "I don't know," I said honestly. He smiled, more confident this time. "Maybe we figure it out." That night, he didn't sleep on the couch. But it wasn't about sex. We didn't even take off our shirts. We just lay there, tangled in blankets and uncertainty, his hand loosely wrapped around mine under the covers. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I didn't have to pretend. But pretending, it turned out, was easier than being honest. Because the next day, things got complicated fast. The next morning started off like nothing had happened. We woke up late, bleary-eyed and tangled, but neither of us said anything about the fact that we'd fallen asleep holding hands. He rolled out of bed first, muttering something about needing to shower before his 10 a.m. class, and I just nodded, staring at the ceiling like it held the answers. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, exactly, but it wasn't easy either. By the time I came out to the kitchen, Noah was already dressed, backpack slung over one shoulder, water bottle in hand. He looked at me. "You want coffee?" I nodded, and he poured me a cup like it was any other morning, like we were just roommates. Like he hadn't kissed me sober the night before, and then fallen asleep next to me with his thumb brushing against my knuckles, like it was the most natural thing in the world. As he handed me the mug, our fingers brushed. We both felt it, but neither of us said anything. I watched him leave for class, the door clicking shut behind him, and sat there for a long time, coffee untouched, heart racing. It was happening. Something real, but it was fragile, held together by all the things we weren't saying. That afternoon, I had a shift at the library, and I tried to focus on reshelving books and helping lost freshmen find their way around the stacks. But my head kept drifting back to the kitchen, to the look on his face when he asked to kiss me, to the warmth of his body next to mine. When I got home, the apartment was dark. Noah wasn't back yet. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, trying not to overthink. But then I heard the door unlock. He stepped in, looking tired, his gym bag slung over one shoulder. "Hey," he said. "Hey." He dropped his bag and came over to the couch, sitting beside me. Not touching, not looking at me at first, just sitting. After a minute, he asked, "Is this weird for you?" I turned to him. "Is it weird for you?" He let out a breath, ran a hand through his hair. "Yeah, but not in a bad way. It's just new." I nodded. "Same." He looked at me then. Really looked at me. I'm trying to understand what this means. I've never, not even once, done anything with a guy. But I think about it now. With you. My chest tightened. "You don't have to figure it out all at once," I said. He nodded, staring down at his hands. "Yeah, I know, but I don't want to pretend like it didn't happen. I don't want to act like we're just roommates anymore, not if that's not what you want." It wasn't. I reached for his hand. He let me take it. "I want to see where this goes," I said. He gave a small, nervous smile. "Me too." We sat there for a long time, holding hands in the quiet. It felt like a beginning, but beginnings are messy. Especially when you haven't told anyone, especially when one of you isn't sure who he is anymore, and especially when his ex-girlfriend shows up 2 days later, unannounced. It was a Thursday afternoon when she showed up. I was halfway through a microwaved burrito, sitting on the couch in sweatpants, when I heard a knock at the door. 3 quick raps, like someone in a rush. I figured it was a delivery, maybe Noah forgot his keys again. But when I opened the door, it was her, Emily. Noah's ex. They'd been on and off for over a year before finally calling it quits 6 months ago. I'd only met her a few times. Pretty, confident, the kind of girl who walks into a room and knows everyone's watching. She didn't smile when she saw me. Just looked me up and down, like she hadn't expected me to be the one opening the door. "Is Noah here?" she asked, arms folded. I stalled, stepping aside. "He should be back soon, you wanna?" Before I could finish, she brushed past me like she owned the place and dropped her purse on the kitchen counter. I shut the door and turned, trying to play it cool. "Did he know you were coming?" She ignored the question and glanced around. "You guys redecorate or something?" Nope. She walked into the living room like she belonged there. Like she used to. And for all I knew, maybe she did. Back when this apartment was just a place Noah lived, not the place where he kissed his roommate sober and held his hand under a blanket on the couch. I sat back down, unsure of what to do with my half-eaten burrito. The whole place felt 10 degrees warmer. 15 minutes later, Noah walked in. He stopped cold when he saw her. "Emily? Hi," she said, arms still crossed. "Miss me?" Noah glanced at me. I could see the panic in his eyes. Brief, but real. "What are you doing here?" she shrugged. "I was nearby. Thought I'd stop in. Catch up." He looked at me again, like he didn't know how much to show. I stood up, clearing my throat. "I'll give you guys some space." But as I walked past, Noah reached out and grabbed my wrist. Not hard, just enough to pause me. Our eyes met. I knew what he was trying to say without words. Don't go. But I also knew what this looked like, what it could become. So I nodded and let my arm slip free, retreating to my bedroom. The door didn't quite close all the way behind me, and maybe that was on purpose. I couldn't hear every word, but I caught pieces. "You've been ignoring me. We broke up, Emily. I didn't think you'd move on this fast." Then her voice, sharper. "With your roommate?" Silence. Then Noah, lower, calmer. "It's not like that." I sat down on the bed, staring at the floor. I wasn't sure what I felt. Hurt, embarrassed, like some secret being dragged out into the open before it was ready. A few minutes passed. Then footsteps. Noah tapped lightly on my door. "Can I come in?" I nodded. He closed the door behind him and leaned against it, rubbing the back of his neck. "She just showed up," he said. "I figured. She asked about you." I looked at him. "What did you say?" He exhaled. "I said it's not like that, but I think I lied." My heart jumped. I panicked, he continued. It caught me off guard, and I didn't know how to explain it. Us, whatever this is, I'm sorry. I nodded slowly. It's okay. No, it's not. I should have said something else, something better. He walked over, sat next to me on the bed. Can we not pretend anymore? He asked. I'm tired of acting like this is some phase I'm working through. I turned to him, stunned. Are you saying? I don't know what I'm saying, but I know I don't want to hide it. I like you. And maybe I don't know what that means yet, but I don't want to be scared of it anymore. My chest tightened. What about her? He shook his head. She's the past. I want to figure out the future. And then he kissed me again, soft, honest. Like it meant something more now. And for the first time, I let myself believe that maybe it really did. After that kiss, everything shifted again. But this time, it wasn't confusing. It was quiet, steady, grounded, like we'd both stopped pretending. Noah didn't say the words boyfriend or dating or gay. He didn't label anything, but he started doing little things that told me what we were was real to him, even if he didn't have the language for it yet. He started cooking dinner with me instead of just showing up for it. He sat closer on the couch, not in that casual, we're roommates kind of way, but in that I want to feel you kind of way. His hand would rest on my thigh when we watched TV, his thumb would absently trace circles while he zoned out, and he didn't pull away when I leaned against his shoulder. We didn't talk about Emily after that night. She didn't come back, and Noah didn't reach out, but I noticed him watching me differently, more protectively, more cautiously. Like he realized, maybe for the first time, that this could all disappear if he didn't handle it right. And then one night he asked if he could sleep in my bed again. Just like that first night. No jokes, no excuses, just, can I stay with you? I nodded, pulled back the covers and let him crawl in beside me. He didn't try anything. He just wrapped an arm around me and held me like we'd been doing this forever. And somewhere in the dark, his voice broke the silence. You scare me, he said softly. I turned to look at him. Why? Because this feels real. And if I mess it up... He didn't finish. You won't, I said. But even if you do, we'll talk about it. He nodded slowly. I've never talked about anything like this before. I gave a small smile. That's okay. I've had enough unspoken feelings for the both of us. He laughed at that. A real one, the kind that made my chest warm. We didn't say anything else that night. But the next morning, I woke up to him in my bed, one leg tangled with mine. His face pressed into the side of my neck like he'd always belonged there. That was the moment I knew I was falling in love with him. And it terrified me, because love meant risk. Love meant waiting to see if he would choose this when the world outside started asking questions. When his friends noticed. When his family visited. When it wouldn't be just our secret anymore. It happened on a Sunday. The apartment was quiet, the kind of lazy afternoon where everything feels slower. No classes, no errands, no noise, except the hum of the fan and the occasional sound of Noah flipping a page in the book he was pretending to read. We were lying in my bed. His arm was slung over my waist like it had been there forever, his face half buried in the pillow, hair messy from the nap we'd taken after breakfast. You know, he said suddenly, voice low and muffled, this is the happiest I've felt in I don't even know how long. I looked over at him. Yeah? He nodded against my shoulder. I shifted so we were facing each other. You okay? I think so, he said. It's just weird, you know. Not the you part. You make sense. It's the other stuff. He was still figuring it out. I knew that. I didn't push. You don't have to label it, I said. Just be honest. Noah nodded again. Then he leaned in, pressed a kiss to my jaw, soft, slow, and looked at me like he was about to say something but wasn't sure how. You can say it, I whispered. He hesitated. Then he said it, quiet, barely above a whisper. I think I'm falling for you. And just like that, everything inside me froze, then cracked open. warm and terrifying and beautiful. "You think?" I teased, trying to hide the way my heart was pounding. He gave a soft smile. "I know, but thinking it first made it less scary." I leaned in and kissed him, this time slower, with everything I hadn't said out loud yet either. "I'm already there," I whispered when we pulled apart. He tucked his head into my neck like he didn't want me to see the way his ears turned red. After that, things weren't perfect, but they were real. Noah didn't come out right away. We didn't start holding hands in public or posting selfies. But he made small changes. He stopped talking about girls like they were the only option. He turned down a party invite from one of his old hookup buddies. He introduced me to his mom over FaceTime. And when she asked, "Is that your roommate?" he smiled and said, "Yeah, and maybe something else." We weren't just a secret anymore. We were something real. It all started with one drunken question. "Wanna try something?" And now he falls asleep in my bed more often than his. Now he kisses me in the kitchen before class. Now we make plans. Trips, job interviews, graduation, maybe even a new place that's ours. He's not just the straight roommate anymore. He's mine. And I'm his.